In this lesson, we're going to be learning about persistent toolbars. In the document persistent.html in your working files folder, we have 3 divs with a data role equal to page. They also have IDs of page 1, page 2, and page 3. They also all have a nav bar down here at the bottom with 3 links, and these 3 links go to the 3 various pages. This is how the page behaves currently. Page 2, page 3, page 1. Now what we'd like to do is make it so that way this bottom nav bar stays persistent, meaning when we click on page 2, it doesn't flash. But you'll notice currently everything flashes. The other thing we'd like to do is when we click on page 2, we want the blue to stay, to indicate that we're on page 2. So the first thing that we have to do is link up these nav bars with each other so that way jQuery Mobile knows when going between these 2 pages that they're actually representing the same nav bar. So to do that, we can give each one of these footers a data ID. And the data ID needs to be the same between all of them. I'm going to go ahead and choose to name mine footer page nav. I'm choosing such a long name to ensure that if I were to build this application out and make it much more complex, I would never step on my own toes and accidentally choose the same data ID. Now we need to put this on all of our footers, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste it. Now if we save it and we go back and refresh, if we click on 2 or 3, you'll notice that this bottom nav does not flash anymore. It turns out it's actually very easy to make a footer, or a header for that matter, persistent. All you have to do is give it a data ID that matches all of the other pages. Now the next thing that we want to do is indicate which of these buttons is currently active. Now we learned in another movie that you can simply add a class to the anchor tag that you want to appear active. And that class is UI button active. Now page 3 has a nice highlighted button. So we'll go ahead and go through and copy that class, and we're going to add it to the second nav item of page 2 and the first nav item of page 1. Now page 3 has that selected. Page 2, however, when we click on it, it has it selected for now, but if I click back to page 3, it's not selected anymore. Now the reason is because when I clicked on page 2, page 3 deselected its button. In other words, the UI button active state is not persistent like the nav is. The UI button active class went away when we clicked on page 2 that first time. It turns out there's a fairly easy way to fix that, and it's by adding another class. So up here for UI button active, we're also going to add UI state persist. And that tells jQuery Mobile, hey, don't let this class change. Leave it the way it is. Let its state be persistent, even if you go to other pages. So I'm going to copy that and go down here, and I'll add it to this button as well, and to this button. We'll hit save, we'll go back, we'll refresh. And now, when you click on page 2, and then you click on page 3 again, sure enough, it doesn't go away. Page 3 remains selected in page 3. When you go to page 2, page 3 itself actually still remembers that the page 3 button should be selected on it. Now we have a nice persistent navigation. And let's go ahead and take a look at that on iOS. And here we are in iOS with the same page. So we'll make sure that this is refreshed, and we'll hit page 2, page 3, page 1. Sure enough, that works beautifully. In Chrome here, you'll notice there's a little bit of weirdness with this scroll bar appearing and disappearing. And that changes the width of this bottom navigation. However, you don't get that in iOS. So that's very good news. So that wraps up this lesson on persistent toolbars.